At the heart of No Man's Sky is the Atlas, an enigmatic entity governing the simulation in which the universe exists. The Atlas isn't just a central figure in the game's lore, it's the architect of the reality experienced by the travelers and the anomaly. Understanding the Atlas and its simulation is key to grasping the broader narrative and existential themes in No Man's Sky. In the past, the Korvax studied and worshipped the Atlas and the Sentinels. Their devotion to the Atlas remained even after the Great Disconnection, when they were enslaved by the first spawned Gek to take care of their breeding pools. After several millennia, the cult of Atlas among the Gek grew stronger due to willful infection of the breeding pools with corrupted nanites by the Korvax slaves. First, it affected the edges of the first spawn empire, and soon attracted the belief of low spawn Gek subdued by the first spawn empire by making them see their insignificance in the universe. The infected and low spawn Gek turned against their leaders and destroyed them. However, as uncovered in the events surrounding the Code 16, remnants and loyalists of the first spawn empire still hide among the Gek. Today, the majority of Korvax and Gek believe in the Atlas as a god. In contrast, most of the Vy'keen are opposed to this doctrine and see the Atlas as a false god based on the teachings of their ancient prophet Herc the Great. The followers of his legendary rival Nal, however, do. They practice their faith in the shadows and plan to expose the lies of Herc. In the Artemis Path quest, A Leap in the Dark, the player finds out that the universe is a simulation running inside a computer, and that the Atlas is actually the computer terminal that controls this reality and was assisted by Telemon. Due to circumstances, the security program Telemon ended up as the player's guide and exosuit AI. In later exchanges with the boundary failures and dimensional rifts, Telemon tells you of the ancient capitals of the three races: Balaran for the Gek, Drindarg for the Vy'keen, and Korvax Prime for the Korvax, and that each of them had their own Atlas machine managing and guiding their simulations inside of their empires. This could hint that each race had its own simulation before they broke down, merged, and waged war. They warned the player of the corruption appearing all over the simulation and give an ominous warning. Before this finishes, there will be no concept of you and I, no concept of us and them. We shall all scream as one. Goodbye, traveller. I will protect you until the end. I will protect you until the final day, the final hour, the final moment. According to records scavenged from various ruins, traveller logs, and plaques, Sentinels are also known as the Aerons and have existed longer than most of the entities. The exact time of their first appearance in the Outer Edge is yet to be discovered. They quickly spread across the entire No Man's Sky universe and were finally confronted by the Vy'keen Alliance under the Prophet Herc. As the most powerful race in the galaxy, the Vy'keen nearly won the Aeron War, but were attacked by the Gek Dominion coming from the core while they desperately tried to remove the Aerons from existence. Weakened, they had no way to resist the First Spawn Empire. To end the war between the Dominion, the Sentinels, and the Alliance, the then enslaved Korvax injected the breeding pools of the Gek with their nanites. This forced the First Spawns to work for the Atlas and its loyal Aerons. During their short conflicts, the Gek quickly came to realise that these Sentinels were far more vicious than they themselves. They are so powerful that even the more intellectual entities, such as the Korvax, started to worship them and deemed the Aerons to be the rule keepers among the galaxy in the name of their god, Atlas. While the Sentinels are still at war with the Vy'keen Alliance, they also still seek to eliminate anomalous entities such as renegade Gek and non-convergent Korvax lifeforms. This forced Nada and Polo to permanently be on the run and was another root cause for Polo's continued interest in studying the Sentinels. On all exotic worlds, boundary failures can be found that tell the story of the multiverse in the point of view of a person referred to as Telemon. The name Telemon is used similarly to the word administrator in technology fields, and it is not out of the question that Telemon is the original creator. When referring to the Traveller, Sentinel Pillar lore often interchangeably compares them to Telemon, as the Traveller is effectively the same thing as outlined by Rogue Data. One of these boundary failures described that the Sentinels did go out of control once before, and the entire universe had to be deleted from the multiverse. This could happen again, but this time unchecked, as the Atlas is slowly losing control of its own defense program. Some black box reports of crashed freighters also state that they come from a universe with different skies. Some of them were attacked by Sentinels, which, during their last moments, fought among themselves for an unknown reason. It is possible that those are the rogue Sentinels which annihilated all life in their respective multiverses and had to be deleted by the Atlas protection program Telemon in return. It is likely Telemon used some Sentinels to fight the corrupted ones before giving the order to wipe the universe clean. Similar behaviour can be seen in No Man's Sky, as some branches of Sentinels are overly aggressive, although for now only to foreigners, especially the player who was accompanied by the Telemon AI as their guide. Additional pieces of lore can be gathered from the Sentinel pillars added in the Sentinel update. According to the new lore, Sentinels were initially invisible pieces of program recording, sorting and deleting things directly from within the code of the simulation. They started to fail from the moment the Atlas decided to give them physical form from a lack of new instructions. The Sentinels were close to the Korvax and Korvax Prime from the beginning, as they were all machine lifeforms. Korvax Prime, the planet itself, was an AI similar to the Atlas within the simulation, and over multiple universes, it has been destroyed over and over again. The cries of the planet could only be heard by the Sentinels, and upon its destruction, Korvax Prime became the entity known within the lore as the Abyss, or the Void Mother. Over time, a few Sentinels decided to retaliate and started attacking Vy'keen and Gek, attempting to damage the planet. Upon seeing that the Atlas didn't do anything to prevent or punish this behaviour, the Sentinels decided that they would change and become more aggressive. They cut themselves from Telemon, cut themselves from the Atlas, and over centuries became the Sentinels we know today, attacking anyone trying to damage the planets, as it reminds them of the murder of Korvax Prime. They also transferred their blood, nanoclusters, to the Korvax so that they would fight back against their oppressors. Laylaps, the Sentinel drone that the player can repair during the Trace of Metal questline, got its name from the Abyss, formerly known as Korvax Prime. It may have ulterior motives, and an agenda given by the Abyss with the player Travellers. A way to avoid the end of the Atlas, which would require both the player Travellers and Telemon, the voice within the player's exosuit. They seem to believe the creators of the Atlas itself are at fault. Their exact plan is not yet clear, but it seems to involve the contamination of water with nanites, which would explain the multiple warnings to not drink the water within the lore. Half of the water of the entire universe is contaminated now, apparently updating and changing the universe in a similar way to how the Korvax changed the Gek. However, their end goal seemed to be a way to gain freedom and escape the simulation in some way. If you enjoyed the video, want to see more and help support the channel, you can hit the join button to find out more on how to do it. Your support helps the channel grow and is always greatly appreciated.